now, a party politica broad. On behalf of the Nationalist Party, our Prime Minister, K.W. Kamunga.
My dear friends, in 2 days' time, you will be casting your votes. Some of you for the first time.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I wonder if you could oblige me with some change. I want to make a telephone call.
A local call, sir?
Hey, I'm afraid I have only English money.
The votes that took place in the ballot box may influence the whole future of our country. We all hope our future lies in democracy. But now that we have won democracy...
Here we are, sir.
Thank you.
We must not think it is a gift.
The call was about accommodation. Would you happen to know the best hotel in town?
Well, now, that is a question. I would recommend this Shigura Palace. But that is a difficult name for a foreigner to remember, so I will write it down for you. You should be quite comfortable there. Good.
Give them the reins of power, and they will ride roughshod over us.
I would go there straight away, sir. What with the coming elections, we have a lot of visitors to the town.
Power, democracy will be a thing of the past.
Yes, sir. Go there right away.
Thank you.
We will have thrown off the colonialism.
Come in.
And of the East are all too ready to help us. Yeah, take this loan, they say. Nice fellows. Yeah, take all you want. No strings attached.
Wish to see me? Just a minute.
But there are ropes and cords with which they want to bind us. Dr. Manudu tells us that these loans...
Perhaps you'd like me to come back some other time.
No, please wait. Sit down, please.
Well, we know better, don't we? Prosperity, we want that, yes, but not at the cost of our liberty. It is tragic to think that we could use the democratic process of the ballot box to vote away our new won freedom.
Mr. Drake?
That's right, although I'm Major Sullivan while I'm here.
Of course. You can rely on me to preserve your cover as an officer and a gentleman.
May I ask where you fit into this setup?
I'm head of security. My name is Kasawari.
Well, then I'll be working under you.
Wouldn't you like that?
I don't mind.
The Prime Minister's given orders that you're to have a free hand. Personally, I think it unnecessary to import an agent from London.
Ours but to do or die, Mr. Kasawari.
Since this attempt on his life, the Prime Minister sees a plot around every corner.
Whatever happened to the would-be assassin?
He escaped.
Very convenient.
The Prime Minister believes, as you know, that Dr. Manudu, the leader of the opposition, is preparing to overthrow the government by force.
What do you believe?
In 2 days' time, we hold our first general election. 79% of the population will have the opportunity to choose between the Prime Minister and Dr. Manudu.
And the Prime Minister is likely to win.
The Prime Minister is an austere man. He went to Cambridge. He believes that factories are more important than bread and circuses. Dr. Manudu, on the other hand, would like everyone to have a car and a TV set.
Well, that sounds a vote-catching program. It would seem that he has a good chance of being legally elected. Well, why wreck it by plotting to overthrow the government by force?
The African electorate is as fickle as any other, Major. The Prime Minister is convinced that Dr. Manudu is not willing to trust the judgment of the people in a fair fight. Hello? Prime Minister's finished.
No, please, gentlemen. Just a minute, please, gentlemen. Just a minute or two. The Prime Minister, please, gentlemen. Just give the Prime Minister a minute or two, please.
Oh, those lights.
Mr. Drake, would you please come through?
you.
Mr. Drake?
The Prime Minister, sir.
Prime Minister?
I find these cloak and dagger methods rather childish, Mr. Drake. However, it would be very difficult to preserve your cover as a visiting British major if you were seen to be having private conversations with me.
Of course.
However, it is very good to meet you, and it was very good of Whitehall to send you so promptly. They think very highly of your, how shall I put it, ability to prevent trouble.
I often think that my ability to get into trouble is a better way of putting it.
Tell me, you are aware of my fears?
Yes, Mr. Prime Minister, and many people seem to think that's all they are, fears. I mean, is there any proof that the man who shot you has any political affiliations?
No, not yet, but my instinct, and that's very important for a politician, tells me that my situation is a very dangerous one. This Dr. Menudo is a very ambitious politician.
From what I've heard, he seems to have the country's interests at heart.
Lip service, sir.
Are you certain that he wants to seize power?
Democracy in Africa is only skin deep, you know. Dr. Menudo may pay token homage to the Constitution, but I've known him for years. Should he come to power, I assure you, we'd find ourselves quickly living in a police state.
Just a minute, please, gentlemen. Just a minute.
Excuse me, Mr. Drake. The burden of office, you know.
In fairness, I must say that I feel your own security people could have handled this situation.
We do?
Is there any other reason for wanting me out here?
Well, no. Except perhaps, if there is going to be trouble, I wanted your government to know the truth of what's going on here.
I'll see that they know it, Mr. Prime Minister.
Very well. Good luck, then.
Thank you. Now, where do I find you in case I want to get in touch with you?
And the news editor here, that's my cover. Use this number. It's my private line.
All right. And now, if you'd be kind enough to inform me of the geography of this town. Dr. Menudo, for instance, where does he keep his court?
Dr. Menudo? He lives in a house at the end of this street here.
Union Street.
Is that you, Major?
Hello, Mrs. Manningham.
I hope your room's comfortable.
It's fine, thank you.
Can I offer you a glass of sherry before lunch?
Oh, that'd be very nice.
Oh, splendid. Now, oh dear, I seem to have run out of sherry. You can't rely on servants these days. Would a little drop of gin be...
Splendid.
Oh, good. I'm afraid we haven't got any ice. The refrigerator's gone wrong again, you know. Africa, you understand. Now. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if I might have something in it.
Something... oh, yes, of course. Now, we'll see. I did have a drop of tonics. Ah, here we are. Oh, I do hope that's not too much.
Sure.
Would you care to sit out on the terrace? Henry always liked to sit out there before luncheon.
Well, as a matter of fact, I must be cutting along, Mrs. Manningham. I'm rather late.
Oh, it's so nice to see a uniform in the house again. My late husband looked so splendid in his regimentals. How he would have hated this country today. Africans everywhere.
They were here first.
Oh, yes, living in mud huts and doing their funny little dances. We brought them civilization, Major, And now they turn round and bite the hand that fed them.
Have you ever considered returning home, Mrs. Manningham?
This is my home, Major Sullivan.
Yes, indeed. Of course. Well, thank you very much. See you this evening.
How happy I am to have a man in the house now the elections are coming.
Are you expecting trouble?
Well, how can one tell with that Dr. Menudo living opposite?
Menudo?
In the house over there.
Ah, well, it's nice to have distinguished neighbors, isn't it?
I never feel at ease living near socialists.
That he's not a socialist, is he? He's just the leader of the opposition.
Oh, Henry always said that was the same thing.
Ah, yes. Yes, indeed. Well, thanks once again. See you this evening.
Till this evening, then.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Hello, Drake. Or Major Sullivan, I suppose I should say. You had a good flight?
Yes, fine, thank you. Tell me, how many people are aware of the secret of my identity?
Oh, only me, as far as the army is concerned. I received a coded signal about you from London, which I deciphered myself. By the way, I really must congratulate you on your service record. Now, as far as the rest of the army is concerned, you are here to investigate the possibility of establishing a joint services training area in the bush. Well, I don't know if you feel like a little social life tonight, but the Lassalles are giving a party.
Oh, that's Pierre Lassalle, the Belgian financier.
Yes, yes. So I suppose London told you about him. In the days when this used to be a British colony, his mining group were the real money men.
Now, why did he stay on?
I don't know. I suppose the same reasons I do. You get used to a place. After all, what would I do in England? Live on a colonel's pension and lose money chicken farming. No, I like it here. I keep out of politics. I leave that to you chaps.
Tell me, is there any chance that Dr. Menudo might attempt to overthrow the Prime Minister by force?
Oh, no, none at all. No, he'd need arms and men. And as far as this country is concerned, the only effective fighting force is the army I command. I'm sorry to sound blimpish about this, but they really are a fine body of men. Best in Africa.
Loyal?
Well, they're loyal to the government in power. The army takes no part in politics. Come. Ah, Julius, come in, come in. This is Major Sullivan. Major Sullivan, Colonel Iboto, my senior African officer and commander of our crack regiment.
From what the general tells me about you, it's possible we're at Sandhurst about the same time.
Not unless I was peeling potatoes in the cookhouse. I was commissioned from the ranks.
Oh, really? I have many friends in the British gunners. I expect you know Major Appleby.
Sandy? Oh, he's a great friend of mine.
He's at Aldershot now, isn't he?
No. He's commanding the 2nd Regiment of Heavy Artillery in Ayton.
Yes, I think I heard.
Julius, would you like a drink?
Not for me, sir.
How about you, Major Sullivan?
No, thank you, sir.
No? Well, I expect you'd like a bath before we show you how the other half lives. You're fixed up with quarters here, all right, are you?
Yes, fine, thank you.
Good. Well, I suggest we meet here about 9, and I'll take you round to meet Monsieur Lassalle.
I hope you will find time to come out on my yacht while you are here, Major.
That's very nice of you, but I don't know whether I'll be able to.
Oh, come. Looking for a training ground is not going to take you all that long.
Very well informed.
A hangover from colonial days. People still have the illusion that information is of interest to me.
You take the news situation very philosophically. I'd always thought that power was one of the hardest things for people to abandon.
Perhaps some people never entirely abandon it. They merely wield it under another form.
Your firm lost a great deal when independence came, didn't it?
Major Sullivan, for 34 years, my company returned an annual dividend of 700%. I think we can bear our losses with fortitude.
Losses or temporary setbacks?
You have a sense of humor. I'm glad about that.
You're the second person to tell me that since I've arrived.
It's nice to think that Monsieur Cassowary and I have some point of agreement.
Cassowary?
Oh, that TV fellow, always running around. Oh, Suzanne, come and meet our new arrival. My dear, this is Major Sullivan from London. Major, may I present you to my beautiful English wife, Suzanne.
How wonderful to meet a fellow countryman.
Well, I'm not really. I'm Irish.
If you will excuse me, Suzanne, look after our visitor.
Are you out here for long, Major Sullivan?
I'm not sure.
Is your visit military or political?
Military. I'm just a simple soldier now.
Oh, good. I'm a simple woman. I get so bored with politics.
But you find other amusements.
Don't you ever get bored?
I don't know. I haven't been out here long enough to find out.
Well, we must make sure you never do. I know what it's like.
I would have thought with your husband's vast interest that you would have...
Oh, my husband never confides in me. In the evening, if he wants to talk business, he sends me to the movies.
Well,
Oh, you should complain to the War Office, you know.
Huh?
Pierre was looking for you on the army list. Did you know they'd left your name off?
Hello? Oh, it's you. You need my help. All right. Meet me in half an hour. I'll be there.
Why, Major. Oh, please don't think I'm pursuing you. I've called to see Mrs. Manningham.
Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, my dear. Brought back your Agatha Christie.
Oh, you shouldn't have troubled. But I'm glad you did, because it's a long time since I've seen you.
So now you have Major Sullivan staying with you. Lucky you.
Mrs. Manningham's was recommended to me, and I thought it would be more comfortable than staying in barracks.
Oh, but of course. And what a charming street to live in anyway. I always thought Dr. Manudu showed very good taste in living here.
Ah, yes, Dr. Manudu.
I liked it a lot better when Charlie Bosanquet lived over there.
Oh, look, it's Colonel Nabota. Hello, Colonel.
Madame LaSalle?
I've just discovered Major Sullivan is staying here.
Good morning, Major.
Morning.
I've been telling him about his very eminent neighbor.
Perhaps you'd like to meet your neighbor.
I don't wish to impose.
No imposition? Have you got a moment now?
That would be nice. For this evening, Mrs. Manningham? Madame LaSalle.
Come in.
This is Major Sullivan, the British officer I was telling you about.
Oh,
I find he lodges at Mrs. Manningham.
a neighbor. How nice. Do you play bridge, Major?
I'm afraid not.
What a pity. We have some interesting games.
So I've heard.
Will you stay to lunch?
Well, that's most kind of you. Regrettably, I have a previous engagement.
Before you leave our country anyway, I hope we can get better acquainted.
So do I, Dr. Manudu.
When will you be leaving the country?
When my job is done.
Ah, yes, of course. You'll see a great change in our politics here before you go, Major Sullivan.
Yes, indeed, the elections. Do you hope to win?
I have no doubt of it.
And you must be a very happy man.
I wish I could be. While Mr. Kamunga, our Prime Minister, is in power, it is not difficult for him to play the Democrat.
You feel that if he loses, he'll try to hold on to his position by force?
I know he will.
So you must be prepared for the worst. I'm glad that I am a soldier and not a politician. But forgive me, I'm keeping you from your work.
It's been a pleasure. It is always good to know one's neighbors. You must feel free to come over and borrow a cup of sugar anytime.
Thank you. Well,
Major Sullivan?
That's right.
Then you're welcome.
Yes?
The Major's here to see you, Charlie.
Thank you, my dear. That'll be all.
thank you.
What did you make of Dr. Manudu?
You've been having me watched.
No, but I do keep observation on the doctor's house. They tell me Colonel Naboto is a frequent visitor there.
Yes, it's him that I'd like some information about.
Colonel seems to have a foot in both camps. Perhaps he's deceiving one to help the other. Perhaps he only wants to be certain of being on the winning side. Of course, he has a regiment at his disposal.
I understand they're on exercises.
He believes that battered room life saps the energy. So half the time he keeps in a state of readiness away in the bush.
Very convenient. I'd like a look at them.
I, too, would like to know what goes on up there. But I doubt if the colonel will allow it. He generally insists on accompanying visitors himself.
Then we won't ask his permission. I'll just let him know that I'm playing tennis tomorrow.
Major Sullivan?
Yes?
Orders from headquarters. You must report there immediately. My man will show you the way, sir.
I was told to report here.
Oh, yes. Go and see the adjutant, will you?
Paluca. Ah! Ya vale. Lebron, hey. Ah, Major Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
The colonel wishes to speak to you.
That him coming in just now on the chopper?
Would you wait over there, please, Major?
Everything all right? Carry on.
Good morning, sir.
This is a restricted area, Major. No one is allowed here without a special pass signed by me.
Oh, sorry, Colonel. I had no idea.
How did the tennis go?
My partner didn't turn up, so on an impulse, I decided to come out and take a look at the camp.
Impulses are commendable in wartime, Major, but often frowned on in times of peace. What did you think of Dr. Manudu?
I was very surprised.
Surprised?
I've been led to think that he was a sort of local demagogue.
Demagogues usually exist in the eye of the beholder.
Perhaps one shouldn't make up one's mind on a first brief meeting.
A very sensible attitude. Anyway, now you're here, I'm sure you'd like to see what we can do. Next time, perhaps you'd be good enough to inform me of your plans in advance.
Certainly.
Anka!
Why, congratulations, Colonel.
I don't think there's much that could stop them.
Well, they'd make short work of any uprising, all right.
Listen too much to bazaar gossip.
I understand your Prime Minister thinks there's more to it than gossip.
The Prime Minister is a very imaginative man.
And yet, someone tried to kill him.
An isolated incident.
Of course, it's none of my business, but... Of course? There's a lot of unrest in the new African countries. Take a hypothetical case. Supposing someone tried to overthrow your Prime Minister.
What would your hypothetical someone overthrow him with? A few shotguns? Some spears? Remember what your poet Belloc said, Major. Whatever happens, we've got the Maxim gun. And they have not.
You know, you made quite an impression on my wife.
I seem to have made an impression on a lot of people since I arrived here.
A tribute to your character, Major. Tell me, how are you getting on in your search for a training ground?
Well, it's a big country. It's difficult to know where to start.
I hear that you and Colonel Neboto didn't exactly hit it off on maneuvers. Oh, I'm sorry. There I go again. The habit of being well-informed dies hard.
I wish I was half as well-informed as you are.
Why, was there something you wanted to know?
Yes, whose side you're on?
Oh, that Anglo-Saxon directness. How it puts us wily continentals to shame.
I can put it more deviously if it'd make you any happier, Monsieur Lassalle.
Oh, please, my little joke.
Well?
I am on my side, Major. Does that answer your question?
And you give your loyalty equally to the Prime Minister and Dr. Manudu.
My loyalty is to my shareholders. A rule that has enabled me to live for many years in modest luxury.
You intend to protect your luxury?
Frankly, yes. And my shareholders. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister and I do not seem to see eye to eye in this respect.
So you wait in the wings?
Dr. Manudo is a capable and far-sighted man. We enjoy mutual confidence. I like to think that should he come to power... Oh, you are too good for me. Now, may I invite you to dinner?
No, thank you. Not tonight. Thanks for the game.
The Galloping Major, always on the move.
I didn't know you were sitting out here, Major.
Hello. Such a lovely evening, I thought I'd take a breath of fresh air.
Very sensible. I thought I heard a noise.
Or maybe it was the crickets.
Oh, yes. They are noisy little brutes, aren't they?
Yes. Good night, Mr. Manning.
Good night.
I do believe you've been getting into mischief.
What are you doing here?
I thought you might like to take me to a movie.
I'm sorry, I'm busy.
I think I may be able to help you.
I doubt it.
Well, you don't seem to be making a very good job of helping yourself.
I slipped.
And the next time you might fall. Major, what are you doing here?
I'm here to find a training ground, and when I've found it, I shall return to London.
Oh, we know you'll return to London. The question is whether you'll be sitting in a seat or lying in a coffin.
Madame Lassalle.
Oh, Suzanne.
Madame Lassalle, I think we'll both be much happier if you went away.
You know my husband and Dr. Manudo are very close friends.
Sounds reasonable.
Well, I think my husband is backing Manudo in a more practical way than just giving him moral support.
Okay.
I do wish you'd take me to a movie.
Ah, there you are. You've just saved me from losing a fortune at bridge. My dear fellow, don't get up, please.
Did you know that Colonel Nabota and Dr. Manudo are very friendly?
Good Lord, yes. Well, they're both from the same tribe. You know, it's worse than Burke's landed gentry when they get going on tribe over here. Anyway, apart from that, why shouldn't they be friends?
General, the elections are the day after tomorrow. Now, if Dr. Manudo is planning something, then he must act within the next 36 hours. I assume that the only really effective fighting force is your army.
You've no need to assume.
Yeah. So that anyone who wanted to short-circuit the democratic process would have to have control of that army?
Well, you've answered your question before you've even put it.
If Dr. Manudo needs it, can he get it?
Well, not without removing me and my senior officers who are all loyal.
How about Colonel Nabota? From what I've seen, his regiment is highly efficient.
Well, that may be, but they're miles away in the bush. There are 3 other regiments in barracks right here in town.
If I brought you evidence that Colonel Roberto was up to something, would you take action then?
You know, I think you read too many thrillers. You see, in a year's time, they'll be putting me out to grass. Colonel Roberto is odds on to take over my command. Why should he jeopardize his chances?
Excuse me, sir. I have to go at once. It's urgent. It's from Casawari.
Well, that's another fellow who's always seeing daggers under every cloak. Now, don't let him fill your head with a lot of silly ideas. Good night.
Good night, sir. Is Casawari here?
Come in. He must be on the terrace.
Casawari was a snob and a very difficult man. But he was a patriot, and he was my friend. I do hope that the police will apprehend the persons responsible for this crime. Tell me, do you think that Dr. Manudu might have been behind this?
I've nothing to go on, but Casawari must have discovered something important to send for me so suddenly and so late at night. If I were you, Mr. Prime Minister, I'd go out as little as possible before the election.
Well, I am not going to allow any thugs to intimidate me.
But it might make things difficult if they were to kill you.
Well, no, that's hardly likely.
Why not?
Well, now, tell me, what are you going to do?
I think it's time that I had another little chat with Dr. Manudu.
Well, now, take care of yourself. We don't want you following the footsteps of Casawari.
And in the words of another very great man, I can offer you nothing but blood, tears, and sweat.
Please forgive me for intruding the...
I'm delighted you did, even though you find my guilty secret. Do you do any public speaking? I find it an absolute torment, no matter how much I practice.
Your victory speech?
One must be prepared. Well, is this just a social call?
Did you know that Casawari was murdered tonight?
Who is Casawari?
Head of State Security.
Oh? Who murdered him?
A person or a group who might have discovered something.
Such as what?
That there is a plot to overthrow the Prime Minister.
But a plot doesn't necessarily mean bloodshed.
And a bloodless plot is acceptable then, is it?
There are possibly times when the democratic process has to be removed. You're an Irishman, Major Sullivan. I'm sure you'd sympathize with that view.
That was to achieve freedom. You already have it.
Mine is a poor party. The Prime Minister has access to a great deal of money.
And the thought of 5 years in opposition is not a happy one?
A politician's lifeblood is power.
However achieved?
Dr. Manudu, I'm sorry I didn't realize...
Major Sullivan is just leaving.
No more maneuvers, Colonel. Evening. Morning.
You're an early bird.
Yes, 4, please.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What do you mean?
Your people have been rolling past there all through the night. Then when they're all past and we get to sleep, you come and wake us up. 30 shillings, sir.
Thanks. There you are. Keep the change.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Echo? The Major. The Zakara. His Echo.
Your pass, sir? Your red pass, sir.
That's a movement order signed by General Power.
I must have your red pass.
Read that order.
I am sorry, sir. No one goes through here without a red pass.
But that's signed by the general officer commanding.
I am sorry, sir.
Hello, Camellia. Major Jabasa, Nesia, Coloria.
Very well, now I'll go back and get the other one.
No, sir.
Yes, Captain. Healers, Hashibi headquarters. Just a moment, Major. Tell Colonel Mbuto that Major Sullivan is here.
All on the move, eh? Back to the city?
Major Sullivan, you are under arrest.
I hope you've got a good explanation for this, Colonel.
As the commanding officer of this district, I have no need to explain myself. Furthermore, you expressly warned that this was a restricted area.
I have a pass for this area.
Has someone been forging my signature?
Signed by General Power.
May I see it, please? Soldiers shouldn't mix in politics, Major.
No, they shouldn't.
Hey, you!
There's an old-fashioned word to describe you, Colonel. Traitor.
Only losers are traitors. Lock him up.
I left my briefcase in the Jeep. There are some cigarettes in it. Do you want a smoke?
Yes.
Would you get it for me? And put the Jeep in the shade someplace.
Right.
Fabia!
Today, you will become the leader of your country.
Thank you, Mbuto, but I wish I could have done it some other way. I hate to think what my tutor at Oxford would think of me, gaining power this way.
We will invite him out for your inauguration. You would be surprised how these liberals manage to square their consciences when all the expenses are paid.
There'll be no bloodshed.
A painless transfer of power.
And the Prime Minister?
Will be treated with the utmost courtesy. We will certainly make sure that he has enough to live comfortably in his exile.
At 1100 hours, my men will take control of the government offices, the TV and radio stations, the airfield, and police headquarters. The Prime Minister and his supporters will be in protective custody. Then you will speak on TV and radio as though you had been legally elected.
I wish I had been. What the...
No point in resisting, gentlemen.
Colonel Alberto, you will consider yourself under arrest. You two gentlemen.
You're a fool, General.
Come, Naboto, this is no time for insults. Gentlemen, I suggest we all sit down and have a friendly talk.
There's very little to say.
On the contrary, there's a great deal. Major, you asked me once which side I was on. May I now ask you the same question?
No one has the right to take the law into their own hands.
This way, gentlemen.
Oh, hello, Suzanne.
Oh, darling Mrs. M, I must see Major Sullivan.
Oh, let me see.
Is he here?
Yes, he's upstairs. So sad he's going home.
Come in.
Major Sullivan, my husband has been arrested.
Has he? I'm very sorry.
Why?
It's none of my business.
Well, it must be. They say you were there.
Surely you know why.
I know nothing. I've told you, my husband never confides in me.
I'm sorry, I have a plane to catch.
Oh, please, I beg you, tell me.
He'd been conspiring with Dr. Manudu and Colonel Niboto to overthrow the government.
It's not true.
I'm afraid it is.
But it can't be.
Why not?
Because he's a very good friend of the Prime Minister's.
Looks like it, doesn't it?
But they were together only last night.
Where?
At our house. I went downstairs and he was with the two of them.
Two of them?
The Prime Minister and Colonel Niboto. You don't believe me?
Excuse me. I am a lenient man, Mr. Drake. No, I've found that mercy is a much more effective winding sheet than revenge. I shall appear on television and inform the nation of the facts.
And then there shall be no doubt as to your success in the election.
Well, I would sooner have won in a fair fight.
I think perhaps I should come with you, Mr. Prime Minister. There might be a hostile element.
No, I doubt that. However, if you'd like to come, I'd be most pleased to have you as my guest. You have done our nation a great service, and I assure you I won't be backward in informing Whitehall that I owe you a great deal.
Thank you. I'll be back in an hour's time. Oh, by the way, when did you last see Colonel Niboto?
Colonel Niboto, why?
Oh, there's nothing important. General Power was asking.
Oh, a week ago, perhaps.
Monsieur Lassalle?
Not for some days.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Our Major, missed your flight?
No, sir, I've changed my mind. How are things with you?
Well, I've made some changes in the command and sent the regiment back into the bush.
And the rest of the army?
Loyal.
I'd like permission to have interviews with Lassalle and Colonel Niboto.
I'm afraid I can't help you there. I've handed them over to the civilian police.
Why did you do that, sir?
The Prime Minister called me. I obeyed orders.
And Dr. Manudu?
He didn't ask for him.
Why not?
Well, the doctor's got a lot of friends. I think he felt safer with him locked up in our barracks.
I'd like to see Manudu.
Yes, of course.
Come to kick a man when he's down? Very un-British of you.
That depends. How would you like to get out of here?
A politician has to learn to accept defeat.
Or turn defeat into victory?
I feel you're hiding something from me, Major.
A man of my abilities should not go unrewarded.
I'm sure the Prime Minister will reward you handsomely.
Other people might reward me more. The Prime Minister did not make his broadcast for 1 hour. I'm open to suggestions, Dr. Manudu.
You mean, if I were to offer you more, you will conveniently switch sides?
Why not? I think the pickings would be bigger with you at the helm. What do you say?
Get out!
You're in a prison cell, not a palace, Dr. Manudu.
Even a prisoner doesn't have to deal with scum.
One word and you're a free man.
I'm afraid the only word I can think of might offend your heirs.
Good. Then I've another proposition.
Get out!
I think you may change your mind when you hear what it is.
Oh, there you are, Major. The Prime Minister will be ready to go to the TV station in a minute or two. Would you care waiting outside?
Of course. The nuisance of the tropics is the sheer necessity of fizz. The Colonel's favorite author.
Belloc, how clever of you to remember.
I used to be fond of amateur theatricals in school. I never could resist a gesture. I'm sorry we couldn't take you into our confidence, Major.
No, thank you.
Politics are not a simple game. Come, be a gallant loser.
I don't mind being gallant. I hate losing.
But you have not lost. Last night you uncovered a terrible plot to overthrow the legal government of this country.
You'll probably be promoted.
Very clever. Dr. Menudo looks like winning the election, so let us frame the doctor. But even cleverer, let the doctor frame himself.
Rather ingenious, eh?
Poor Galloping, Major. You know, sometimes my heart bled for you, running around so busily. How I long to take you into our confidence.
Well, we could hardly risk telling you what we were up to from the start.
I suppose not.
It would have been a waste of time trying to bribe you.
You could at least have tried. Very well, gentlemen. I admit that I'm beaten. Not that anyone would believe me if I tried to tell them, and frankly, I don't care. As you say, Mr. Prime Minister, I've done the job that I was brought out here to do. Isn't it time you were making for the TV studio?
You mean you still intend to come?
I wouldn't miss it for anything. It's such a pleasure working with professionals.
Well, Mr. Drake, we shall certainly miss you when you go back to London.
Certainly hope so. I always like being missed.
This is the National TV Service. Our next program follows in a few moments.
Well,
I think it'd be better if you wait till the very last moment.
No, I'd rather not keep him waiting. Out of my way.
I think they are concerned for your safety.
Safety? What do you mean?
And now I have the
Better if you
honor
wait.
of presenting to you the leader of the opposition, Dr. Menudo.
What is this?
Sorry I couldn't take you into my confidence.
You've made a deal with Menudo.
Politics are not a simple game, Mr. Prime Minister, or perhaps I should say just plain Mr. Kamunga.
It is both a sad and happy occasion that brings me in front of you today. Sad because earlier today, evidence was brought to me of a plot to overthrow our government by a military junta led by Colonel de Boto. But a happy occasion because our Prime Minister was able to forestall it. As soon as I was informed, I went to the Prime Minister. And I am proud to be able to introduce you to him.
Hurry, you're on. It's safe now. Let Mr. Kamunga pass.
Oh, no, it's a waste of time.
You never can tell.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kamunga, our Prime Minister.
My friends, it would be wrong of me not to confess the immense debt which we owe to Dr. Menudo for his patriotic and loyal service in saving our country from anarchy. However, of prime importance is that you go to the polls, cast your votes, and I assure you that no matter which of us you choose, he will serve you to the best of his ability.
Ah, Mr. Drake, that is true democracy. If only all the other countries would behave like that.